Hi YouTube, it's Silenaf. Right now I'm going to be going through an in-depth explanation of how I got a working version of Tetris in Minecraft using Redstone. I'm pressed for time, I only have 10 minutes, so I'm going to try and make this really quick. This is my third attempt at recording this. This is unscripted. Well, at this point it's scripted. But regardless, I'm going to be going through how a block sees the game, because blocks are the main thing in Tetris, and how they flow through and how they interact with the user to make Tetris versus just moving blocks. Alright, let's go through. So firstly, it all starts with a random number generator, and it is a 3-bit random number generator generating the numbers 0 through 7. And the thing is, there's only 7 blocks in Tetris, so there's technically a wait. It's a 1 in 8 chance, or excuse me, a 1 in 7 chance for normal blocks to be generated, or no, yeah, it's 1 in 8, and then 2 in 8 for an I block. And the reason that happens is because I was generous, and if you get 0, 0, 0, or 1, 1, 1, you get an I block, whereas if you get, 0, 1, 0, you get a T block, 0, 1, 1, you get a, what is that, an S block, Z block for 4, 5, square, etc. So first things first is it goes through an RNG, gets generated, gets put into a block. But how does that happen? How does it go into a block? So firstly it has to go through here after it's decoded, and then let's look at the I block up in front. It can either exist in 1 of 2 states, and it'll only exist as one. Just trust me on that, because I said so. And let's say it exists as this first one. So this would be, if this line turned off, if it was an I block and it was horizontal, this line would turn off, turning on these 4 pixels, or pixels, I should say, lines. So the lines would go through, and the lines would try and go into this repeater, which is locked. Why is it locked? It's because it's actually the block, like literally the block. So whenever this magenta line turns off, it'll let it through, and this magenta line will only turn off for a certain amount of time because it's connected to a monostable circuit, and it's actually the main clock component. This is where a lot of the lag comes through when you're playing, because it's turning off hundreds of redstone dust at once when it wants to click all 200 pixels at once. It doesn't discriminate which ones it's looking for, blocks above it, blocks below it. But now I know what you're wondering is, how do I know if it's, how does it know if it's below it or above it? So once you have it through here and it's being projected onto the screen, it can either go onto the screen here, back there, or it can go down through this gray part down to the one below. As you can see, there's just another repeater lock. Or alternatively, if the player is pressing right or left, these pink and blue lines will turn off, allowing comparators to float through, and it'll go to the one next to it. Also, when that happens, a light gray will be activated, as you can see right here, and that'll disable the going down, so it doesn't go down and to the right at the same time. Although if you do poorly time it with the stone plate, or just get unlucky, you can sometimes get it where it goes down and to the right at the same time. It doesn't ruin the game, but you get a funny block which doesn't actually exist in Tetris. But it's not like a game-breaking glitch. It's just oh, that's kind of funny. Alright, so we know how blocks move around on the screen based on a clock ticking. So from there, once a block goes all the way down to the bottom, it'll hit the bottom, of course, and then what happens there? You need it to stop falling. Now, what happens here is I actually separated it into 2 systems. As you can see, there's a clear divide between them. So over here is what I call the physics section, and over here is what I call the saving section. Once something is over here in the saving section, if it meets some conditions, it will be saved to the screen. And when I say saved to the screen, I mean it's no longer viewed as a block by the whole machine. It's viewed as just a pixel on the screen, and that's used for row clearing and row shifting if you've cleared other rows. So as you can see here, if it is a pixel over here and it hits the ground, and we know it's on the ground because there's nothing below this. Oh, that's true. It'll go through here and it'll be projected on the screen, but as you can see, it also goes through this comparator. This comparator is here just like every other row, but since this is the bottom row, I'm not having anything disable it, so it'll just flow through here automatically, go through this repeater, loop around, and then it'll lock itself, so it'll be saved on. And that's very important. We need this to be saved on in order to be saved to the screen. And then from there, what it'll also do is it'll go up here and it'll invert this, go into this comparator, which also has something that can disable it, go into another repeater, go into another comparator, no, repeater to a comparator, I'm tripping over my words, which goes to this, and as you can tell, it's a mirror image. It's literally the exact same thing, except this one doesn't have the comparator right there. what it's basically saying is I got rid of this whole area, this little C shape, because I know there's never going to be anything below the bottom. If it's on the bottom, it's being saved. So, well, what if something isn't below? What if you have like a T block and you hit the ground? This is where the cyan comes in. As you can see, when it goes through here, it'll go saved and it'll go up and do its thing, but it'll also activate this monostable circuit, so it'll go through. It'll go along this line. Oop. Oh my goodness. Oh my goodness. Okay. It'll go along this line, and it'll actually go all the way up. Oop. All the flapping way up. All the way up to the screen. Yeah. To the top, and it'll actually, you know, it'll do its little thing. It'll actually save every single pixel that is in this section over here to the screen. So if you have a T block, it'll save the entire T block. It won't just save like the one that hit the ground. Alright, so now we know how the cyan part works. It hits the ground, it activates the monostable, it saves it to the screen. But where does it save to the screen? It goes through here. As you can see, this is the receiving end of the cyan, and it goes and we're back at that comparator. So this comparator part, what it's actually doing is it's disabling every single one. The ever-loving name of God was that. It actually disables every single disable, if that makes sense, which was stopping it from looping itself around. So basically, if the cyan part is active, everything will be saved to the screen. You could draw a smiley face onto the screen with the falling part, the physics system, and it would be saved. Which, you know, you could do. May have done that myself. But what else does the cyan do? So we have stuff saved to the screen. We've established that. But also, once it goes here, it'll also go over here. We see another little thing. And it'll actually activate this piston. This piston is very important. This piston I actually just developed a couple days ago. And this piston does a lot of things. Basically what it's doing is, just because we save something to the screen doesn't mean it doesn't still exist in the falling area, the physics area. So what it does is it activates all the gray parts in the area, in the gray area, and ticks the clock. And then once it does that, if it's not moving left, not moving right, not moving down, but it ticks, it just disappears. So that's very useful to know. Because once we have that saved and we want another piece, if we didn't do that, if we didn't delete the block, we would respawn. Well, the block would still be there and it would cause errors. If it was like a T block upside down, well, not upside down, right side up. So if you had a T and you didn't delete the falling bar, it would make a 2x3 rectangle because it would continue to fall, if you can visualize that. Luckily, you'll never have to, because I knock on wood, I hope I debugged that out. Regardless, some more things I want to go through. The red system is the block shifting system, which is activated by the green, which is the row clearing system. So basically what happens is if you clear a row, it does a big AND gate, which is this. As you can see, I have a bunch of inverters of every single saved pixel going to another inverter, which is an AND gate. This is Boolean logic, you know, some of it. And so we have the AND gate, and it'll activate if all the rows are saved. So what this does is it makes sure that if we had, for example, like a big tower on the right side and we had a part falling on the left, if it passed by, it wouldn't clear it. It has to make sure that it's saved to the screen, not in the physics part. That's very important. Otherwise, we would have stuff clearing while it shouldn't have cleared. You know, it should have just been passing by. So this gets activated. It does a little dance. It'll turn itself off after a amount of time, but it'll also go up here, and not only that, but it'll go over here, which this is just very simple. It just activates another comparator, you know, which disables the loop around, and then from there, it'll also activate the red, which allows all the save cells to flow down. I'm sorry, I'm having to cut a lot out here. I have only 30 seconds left in this recording. If you have any questions and you're curious, you can ask me. Just leave me a comment or DM me on Twitter. That I'd probably respond to that a lot faster. My Twitter is going to be in the description. This is as much as I was able to explain. As you can tell, I didn't get to explain that or that monstrosity, and I apologize for that. But I hope you learned something new, and I hope you thought that was entertaining. But thank you for watching, and I'm Sinaf, and I am logging out.